Hi everyone, welcome to our introduction video to our webinar series with the Life Academy of MIL. So this is Alejandro Garcia Gadea, Senior Architect at Gadea Architects, and my webinar essentially is going to be combining polygon modeling in Maya, Rhino and Grasshopper. So it's a very interesting workflow, and we're going to be focusing on a technique that I quite enjoy, both for design explorations, like personal explorations, and also for the office to get into kind of more like patterns, both for facade and interiors. So morphing essentially is a technique that comes from the animation and film industry, where you get image A or model A, image B or model B, and then you get a nice smooth transition in between the elements. So essentially it's just looking at the location of the vertices in space, and then it kind of blends the distance between the initial and final location, and then it kind of like remaps the domain between 0 and 1, and then based on any data that you are inputting, it will kind of make this transformation in between these surfaces. So how can we do, or how can we actually utilize this in architecture? So we can understand that there is an area that we want it to be more solid, conceptually or structurally, or just like connected to some sort of environmental data. Doesn't really matter. Any data can be input in this workflow, and then we get like a solid condition and a lattice condition, and then we can get easily all the in-betweens. So as I said, this can be applied in architecture. I quite like it for facades especially, and you just get like all the different conditions. Like, can be driven by views, it can be driven by kind of like sun radiation and sunlight hours analysis in Ladybug, or it can be something a bit more structural, or literally like any kind of data that you want to input into this. So the way this works, the way I define my workflow, this morphing design technique that I want to explain and introduce here, is essentially we first model low poly modeling. We kind of get it into NURBS or meshes depending on the strategy we want to follow. We get the topology, we do some sort of analysis, or do like a quick distance check, and we kind of communicate that to the different faces in this topology and get our pattern. Okay, so for this very quick video, as a demonstrator, I want to show you how we're going to combine Maya, Rhino and Grasshopper, try to introduce some of the terms that we need for this webinar, for this exercise at least, and show you like how we get into this relatively quickly. We can do this design within 10 minutes, literally. So this is a technique I've been using for the last few years, and I've done like a number of workshops and webinars. We will get probably into some level like this or like that. So this is essentially, like in this case, it is just like something visual. It's conceptual, but you can see how the pattern could be informed by structural analysis. So the bits that are the support get more solid, and then towards the center we can get openings or skylights, or like any kind of coloring or pattern, but it doesn't need to be structural anymore. We can apply this like to buildings. We can apply this to more kind of conceptual designs. This is like up to you. The main goal of the workshop is to kind of explore with morphing as a design technique. I'm gonna go through the basics, so we will try to get here by the end of this video. So it's like 20 minutes video introduction, but yeah, like essentially in the webinar I'm going to be covering everything. If you have any questions about the webinar, this is my Instagram account, and then this is, I just like recently started this Instagram account where I'm going to be posting all the contents for upcoming webinars and workshops. Okay, so very quickly introduce to Rhino, Grasshopper, the idea of mesh and NURBS. In Rhino we mostly, or at least I mostly, work in NURBS. So NURBS, it's kind of a way of defining a surface through these control points, and then of course if we loft this, so I'm just gonna set command loft, we get our surface. And then if I bring it into Grasshopper, Grasshopper is just a plugin for Rhino. Within that plugin there are many plugins. I will make a list of the plugins that I'll be using for our webinar, but for now I'm just gonna focus on the very basics. Okay, so this is opening. Okay, so here in Rhino, I think I have different things here. So if I put a bifocals, so you guys can read what I'm doing, I'm gonna type surface. I'm gonna get the surface, and then I'm gonna right click, reparameterize. I will go in detail through all the commands in Rhino, but for now, for this webinar, I'm just gonna kind of walk you through the process so you get an understanding and see whether you're gonna be interested or not. Okay, so what I was defining before as a surface, here we can visualize it very quickly. So this is an input 2 coordinates vector. So like this, as you can see, we can navigate the surface from one corner to the other corner, just defining, you know, the coordinates in U and V direction. Okay, so this is very straightforward. We can get the isocurves here the same way. So we can get one curve in this direction, or we can get the curve in the other direction. We can also use this to panelize. So divide domain 2. I'm gonna get the surface here, and then I'm gonna say here I want to divide 10 by 10, and then we get our surface subdivided. I like to work with this one, so it's only the one I'm selecting, but I think maybe for the ones that are just beginning, you want to keep reviewing off, and then just have only the last one here on. Okay, so if I hide this one, that's my surface of 10 by 10. Okay, so this is a surface, so we can group all this together. That's my input. Okay, and now the next one, I'm gonna do mesh surface, and essentially I'm gonna subdivide this into 10 by 10 faces, the same way I did it here. But now here you will see that once I have the mesh, I have the mesh. It can be defined with this kind of evaluation method of like 2 coordinates. It needs to be defined by, if I do mesh deconstruct, we will see that the mesh is always defined by vertices, by faces. So those are the vertices, the faces, and the edges. Okay, so I'll show you now quickly. I'm just gonna save this document, tutorial 2. I'm gonna save this one, and then I'm gonna open Maya, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so if I open Maya, I have here the exercise we want to cover. I'm just gonna hide this for now, and quickly explain Maya. Maya is super complex software. Like there's so many things going on in Maya, but actually Maya is kind of designed for different industries, so they actually accumulate a lot of like different tabs, a lot of menus. Each of these menus had like a lot of sub menus here, and then on top you have all the shelves, and then you have all these side commands here. But over the years, I was kind of taught to model in a certain way, and I develop also my shortcuts. So that's what I'm gonna be trying to explain, which is particularly useful for designers and architects, I would say. So if we focus on modeling, okay, I'm just gonna get here into polygons, and I'm gonna say square, cube. I'm gonna drag and drag, and then very quickly, this is a little cube. Okay, so this little cube, if we go to channel box, we can define here parametrically what are the dimensions. I'm going to say 10 by 10 by 10, yeah, and then I can, you know, say here, well, I think this is enough. So what I want to explain here is like, okay, same thing that we say in Rhino. If I right click here, or actually before I do that, you can see here, if you enable in display heads up and poly count, you can see here how many vertices, edges, and faces I have. So if I grab one edge, so I right click here, I have vertices, edges, and faces. If I grab one vertex, so you have with the Q, W, E, R, that's how you move. Q selection, W move, E rotate, R scale. So this is how we move around, yeah? So I can just move one single edge, so one single vertex, or I can move an edge, or I can move a face. But you see how quickly I can access the different parts of the geometry without actually understanding what exact coordinates we're talking about. Yeah? So I think this is quite handy. So if I press Alt and then I click the different buttons of my mouse, I can move around very easily. And then if you're zooming out, you click on the object and then press F. That's how you get to your object. In terms of settings, I want you guys to set it up here. Settings, preference, settings. You want to go the setup centimeters. You want to go here in, what is this? File projects. You want to have here autosave enable, and then you want to check the undos and make sure that you have enough undos here to play with. Okay, so this is in terms of menu. Another very important thing is a shortcut. You'll find a lot of tutorials about how to get into all these menus. I will say just focus on the center of the screen. It's very fast when you get used to it, and then you actually gain shortcuts. I'll show you what I mean. So if I get a face, yeah, so I go into face and I press now Shift right click. I'm actually only accessing here right now the menus that are connected to faces, which make it much faster for me. And actually you will remember where the things are, so you don't even need to look into it. You just move your hand around. So I extrude the face and I get an extra face here, yeah? Okay, so now I can also double click here my edge, shift right click, and then I can say bevel the edge. So if I say here 0.1, I bevel my edge, yeah? And then I can double click here, shift right click, extrude face, and then I keep extruding, yeah? So very quickly we'll get to model stuff. Okay, so these quick menus here, so those ones I'm not going to explain them right now. All the tools that I have here, you could access them through the menus and you could access them through the shelves. Those ones are just three different ways of working. I work this way. I can also explain where they are here, but not in this quick introduction video. So very important, we got here the channel box. Channel box, you store all the story of the object, all the history of the object, and then you can always change back any of the parameters that you input here. Attribute editor, you get additional kind of details and settings for any of the transformations. And then tool settings is the other important one. I'll explain it later on. Is the one with the little hammer here. Yeah, this tool setting. Okay, and then you have the layers down here. The way I actually operate with layers is the outliner. So this outliner, you get all the geometries. I can hide it with H. I can do a copy, Control D, and I have a second one. And then I can group it when I do Control G, and that's how I group it. And then I can hide those groups. You can also do the same thing with layers. They're both used for different purposes. So I'm gonna delete that for now, and I'm gonna start doing my little stadium as a demonstrator. So let's go here, create polygon cylinder. Just a very simple one, yeah. Just so you guys see what this workflow is about. So I get my cylinder, I go to the channel box and I press, I input 6 subdivisions. Another important one, probably should cover, is when you press 3, you actually smooth all the geometries in Maya, and we'll see how we want to decide when the geometry is getting smooth and when it's not getting smooth. We will introduce the idea of creases for that. But I'll explain it with this example very quickly. So okay, so we have our little cylinder, okay, something very basic. I want to I'm gonna get my vertices here, these ones, and then I'm gonna scale it. Okay, let's see it in plan how this looks like. So I press space, and then I go to plan. And then here I'm gonna go right click, vertices, and then if I press R for scaling, I can scale it. So I'm gonna take these ones and this one, I'm gonna scale it a little bit. I'm gonna get one extra loop here. Okay, I'm gonna get this one and this one, scale it again a little bit more, and then get this one and that one and scale it a little bit more and a bit there. Okay, so I think everyone can get here. Those are very simple commands. Maybe just like that. Okay, to begin with, just make sure that you are here by the time I finish. Okay, there is one more thing. I want to connect this one, so I'm going to connect this one to this one and back there, and right click with the multicad. So I press a left mouse button. We want to make all the triangles consistent. Ideally we should have quotes all the way around, but don't need to explain that now, so we will explain it later. So I make a copy of my steps. I'm going to get that loop here, and I'm gonna move my gizmo. So to move the gizmo around, to move the gumball, I press D and then V, and V will allow you to snap it onto a vertex. I press D again, and then I'm free to move it. So if I get my my edge loop here, and then I move it around, okay, so I can scale it a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, so maybe I scale everything down. So this is like with 4 and 5. You get the wireframe mode or you get the shaded mode. It's just a quick shortcut there. Okay, so once we are kind of okay with this, I mean, we are not okay with this, I would say, but this is just a quick instruction. Later on, we'll show you like how to actually like get like quite interesting designs. But let's just say this is okay for now. So I'm gonna have that one, and then I'm gonna get the edge. I'm gonna do shift right click, multicad, and get it there. I get my subdivision, double click, extrude face, and then I'm gonna say 0, 2. As I say, don't freak out now. We will explain everything in detail. Okay? I just need to be a bit fast to demonstrate this a little bit, how the geometry and the generation of this works. So we get that little thing. We're gonna move these vertices up, and I'm gonna get these ones, those ones, and these ones. Okay, I just need to make sure I have all of them selected. I think that's it. And then these ones, I'm just gonna scale them in this direction a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so we have our base geometry. That's the low poly I was talking about. I don't want this one. I don't need this. So I'm just gonna select these faces and delete. Yeah. And then the next thing, I mean, we will. If we were designing this, we will be sculpting the design until we are happy. For the purpose of this exercise, we will leave it here for now, if that's okay. Okay, fine. So the next thing I want to introduce is like I get these edge loops, and then if I go to shift right click, I can do crease. And then this is essentially how we are going to be separating our geometry. So I want to get that one, and then I want to maybe just a little bit more, if that's okay. I'm going to shape them a little bit more, like that. And then a bit more, like that. Yeah? Okay, that's fine. Fine. Okay, so the important thing here, we could keep going forever reshaping this. This is not polished yet, of course, but that's more of a design exercise. that we will show later on in the webinar. For now, let's just keep it like that, yeah. And then we get this geometry, and I'm gonna explain you how we're gonna convert it to NURBS so we can plug it back into the script we were developing. So we're gonna get that loop, yeah. I'm gonna get my edges, and then I'm gonna get that edge as well, and I'm gonna say shift right click detach. Once that you have detached it, you can do modify, convert, poly to subd, and then you can say convert subd to NURBS. Okay, once we have this, I can select my geometry and I can say, okay, and my Maya 2017 actually wasn't working. I can get to my, okay, let me just write Maya 2018. I had some problem with the export in Maya 2017, so I'm just gonna export in Maya 2018. Okay, sorry. So in the meantime, I'm gonna explain, like I could take this geometry and I can say, modify, convert to smooth. Sorry. So modify, convert, smooth geometry, and then this I could export it. I'm just gonna say, whatever. So I'm gonna say test2. So this geometry I could import it here as an OBJ. This is one way. So one way of importing the Maya is as meshes, but I think because this is a basic introduction to the morphing, we're going to be mostly working with NURBS. So Maya will keep the meshes, but in Rhino we're going to convert everything back to NURBS. So we're all more familiar with what's happening, especially for those who are beginners to Grasshopper. Okay, so if I open my Maya 2018 here, okay, where is it? Okay, here. I'm just pasting it here. You should have it. I think my Maya 2017 somehow has some issue, so I'm just gonna save it. I'm just gonna use the 2018 to export. Okay. Okay, there you go. So I'm pressing F here. Yeah, this is ready, and then I'm gonna do file, export, and I wanna save it as IGS. Yeah, that's right. There's 4, and then if I bring it here, I say import, and then I go to supported file. There's 4. This is IGS. That's how we're gonna bring it to Rhino. So okay, so once we have this geometry, I can get that surface and plug it back into my geometries here. So we could kind of keep doing the same things. So you see, like the script, it works the same way than before. I'm gonna use quickly a component here called Lunchbox, which I believe in the Rhino 6 it comes by default, so you don't have to install anything. Okay, so I'm gonna plug the 50 here. So it depends on the direction of your surface. Okay, so I have my little pattern. I'm just gonna focus on this for now. You have our little pattern, and then I'm gonna say geometry, geometry, get the 2 geometries, and I'm just gonna explain quickly this data geometry that I was introducing before in my presentation. So I'm gonna get that curve. Okay, sorry if it's a bit fast. I will explain everything as I said in detail. So I'm gonna say curve, curve closest point. I get my curve here, and then I get my points, and then I'm gonna remap this. So whatever distance comes from here, I wanna remap it and say, okay, so those are the bounds, these bounds, which means the domain, and then I want to remap it into a domain that goes between 0 and 1. So if I get this gradient now, yeah, so I get this gradient, I get this color, and I plug the results in here. I can say custom preview, I put this material, and then I put those faces back there, and then if I hide this one, and then I preview off everything else here, you see, like we have a pattern, like we have these colors that says, okay, so this is the curve, yeah, this is the curve, and then anything that is very close to the curve is going to be red, and anything that is farther is going to be blue. So we can actually use this also to create a new pattern. So this is just illustrating the color, but actually we can say here, okay, so I'm going to construct a domain. Domain is going to go from 0, 1 to 0, 9. So all the values that we get from here, yeah, are going to be remapped into something that goes between 0 and 1. And then we can use these values to get my geometry, get my center, which is here, and then get my scale factor, which is this one. And that's how we get quickly a pattern that is informed by distance in this case, but could be informed by anything else. And as you see, like this is a quick example on how to combine our Maya to get a fancy geometry quickly, Rhino and Grasshopper. Okay, so this is it for this video. As I said, if you go to my Instagram account, Agadea Design, or just Agadea, this other one, you can text me there. In Agadea Design, I'll be posting some images and promo material for the webinar, and just any questions, ask us, please. I hope I see you for the webinar, and I promise it'll be super interesting, and you will enjoy it a lot. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Bye bye.